Merry Christmas, everyone. Once again, the House entertained the matter of shrinking our legislature. It is important to look at this subject objectively. Pennsylvania operates the largest full-time legislature in the country, but the second largest legislature behind New Hampshire's 424-seat part-time assembly. I have visited 14 state legislatures over the last 2 years to study our various systems. Let's take a look at a few of them. Our neighbor to the west, Ohio, which is nearly equivalent in population, governs with a 99-member state house, roughly 120,000 residents per representative, as opposed to our 63,000 residents per representative. So a smaller legislature is not impossible for a state our size. I visited that legislature and observed how it functioned. There's much less chaos and more robust actual debate. We can also examine Illinois, fifth largest in population, just ahead of us by about 100,000. Slightly larger in size than Pennsylvania. It also functions effectively with only 118 representatives. And then there is New York, third largest in population and slightly larger than us in size. They operate their house with 150 representatives and 62 senators. Now, some rural advocates claim that a smaller legislature will hurt rural districts. I would offer the example of Montana. Montana is an appropriate example of the rural-urban argument. Montana is the fourth largest state, over 147,000 square miles, with just under 1 million people in 56 counties. A quarter of its population is in 4 cities. They operate with 100 representatives and 50 senators. I visited their legislature and talked with senators and representatives. They feel rural Montana is well represented. Others contend that Pennsylvania is a diverse state, and we are. But it is interesting that when you talk to reps from other states, they also argue that their state is uniquely diverse. Look at Ohio. It's a rural state with concentrated populations in large urban areas such as Cleveland and Cincinnati. Illinois is also a rural state with a large concentration in Chicago and surrounding counties. Yet both operate effectively with a smaller legislature. Now, some colleagues say we should have a larger legislature, if you can imagine that. The larger, the better. More voice of the people. But when you go up to New Hampshire with that 424-member assembly, you see that each legislator has a smaller voice. More power is shifted to the leadership to run such a large bureaucracy, and individual legislators are neutered. Finally, at least a few others tout the fact that the number we represent is small enough that we can personally touch each constituent. I agree, and I've knocked on all those doors, as you know. But under this bill, our districts will remain a size still reachable by the representative willing to work at it. There's nothing magical about the number 203, and we know that it was arrived at arbitrarily. What we can safely say is that an effective number lies somewhere between 100 and 175 members of the House. We can learn from Ohio, New York, Illinois, and other states, but we don't have to be them. We can set our own standard within these guidelines, and that makes 153 a reasonable number for a state our size. Still others argue that not much money will be saved, and that is relatively true. We will likely save in the tens of millions, not hundreds of millions. But the larger argument is about effectiveness, not just cost savings. Now, the people don't believe we can do this. They're fed up with government. You've told me so. They're tired of telling us what they want and the government not doing it. They say we will never vote ourselves out of a job. They say we're full of greed and avarice, and selfishness and pride up here. And in some sense, they're right. But last session, we proved that we could overcome those flaws, and we passed this bill. And yesterday, we passed it again. We need to lead by example. We ask for citizens to do more with less, and we should too. We can do this. The people want it, and you can count on me to support a smaller legislature. Thank you, and Merry Christmas.